Next, we're going to talk about disposable apparel for the feet. The feet in the head tend to be the largest particle generators. The most common style shoe cover historically used in a clean room is a product that came from the healthcare field. This particular shoe cover is spun-bound polypropylene, and spun-bound polypropylene can and will be a wicking agent, meaning that if you're on a wet floor, this becomes hazardous. So what do they do to take a product that is inherently dangerous on a wet floor, and even dangerous on a dry floor because you could slip? They make it anti-skid. And how they make it anti-skid is they literally apply a paint on the bottom of the shoe cover that looks like tire tread. So what we're doing is we're taking a polypropylene shoe cover that has a seam. We put the seam to the outside to try to give it more coefficient of friction. We put the paint on here to try to give it more coefficient of friction. But at the end of the day, Valuetech does not recommend this shoe cover used in any clean room, anywhere, at any price. The reason for that is one, cost. This product is a sewn product. We're taking two sides and we're sewing it together. There's a lot of labor cost in this that doesn't translate into a higher product cost. You're basically paying for hand stitching. The second issue is the substrate material. Well, as we mentioned before, you can put lipstick on a pig, but you still have a pig. You can put an anti-skid material on polypropylene, but at the end of the day, you're still dealing with spun-bound polypropylene. And spun-bound polypropylene is not designed as outerwear. Remember when we talked about bouffant caps? Bouffant caps are really designed just to keep hair follicles in. They're not designed to be worn in any type of a critical environment. In a critical environment, you're going to be putting a hood over it. The same substrate is what we make a shoe cover from. And let me just demonstrate. If we put just a fair amount of tensile strength on this shoe cover, you can see what happens. We have what we call a catastrophic event. Catastrophic events in a clean room mean that you're releasing gross contaminants. The demarcation between gross contaminants and submicron contaminants is typically 1 micron. 1 micron, a half a micron to 1 micron, based upon your age and your eyesight, you can see 1 micron. Anything that you can see is a gross contaminant. And if you can see the gross contaminant, that means you've got lots of submicron contaminants that you don't see. So the question that I would pose is, why would you introduce a substrate that you know doesn't require much tensile strength and you're going to have catastrophic breakdown? Well, you're going to say the argument is nobody's going to tear the shoe cover. Well, what happens to polypropylene is when this shoe cover is worn on a floor without a high top shoe cover, and if your floor has any type of texture on it, what you will do is you will abrade this material. And although you won't be tearing holes in it, you will be releasing the loose fibers to it. And this can and does happen. There are clean room facilities that used to use a polypropylene shoe cover that have gone away from a polypropylene shoe cover because all of their air returns, much like in your dryer. If you go out and you buy 20 new t-shirts and you wash them and dry them all at once, what happens to your lint trap? It's full of the fiber from your t-shirts. The same thing is true of this. If you wear this in a critical clean room and your operators walk around, the HEPA filters, the pre-filters to the HEPA filters, can and will be covered with this polypropylene material. So why do people use it? Legacy. 20 years ago, this was the substrate of choice. 20 years ago, this is what was commonly used in OR suites in hospitals, and people were looking for clean shoe covers in the clean room industry. There is no compelling argument to use a polypropylene shoe cover in a clean room environment. The cleanest you can get this is macro. You have to put a coating on it that is of dubious quality, and you're paying a lot for stitching. What Valuetech recommends is a substrate material that's called polyethylene film. This polyethylene film shoe cover is completely encapsulated. It's heat sealed on the front and the back. The elastic is encapsulated in the material. So this shoe cover is made by automated equipment. The advantage of automated equipment is what you're paying for is the value of the material. You're not paying for the labor of the stitching. Because it's largely machine manufactured, you're not going to have sizing irregularities. People will often complain with these. They're a little too big, they're a little too small, because this is all hand-stitched. This is all machine-made. The Valuetech shoe cover comes in 3 basis weights. It comes in a 3 mil basis weight, it comes in a 5 mil basis weight, and the heavyweight material is a 8 mil. The 8 mil basis weight material, if we can zoom in on this, actually has an embossed texture. The advantage of an embossed texture means that you're going to get a higher coefficient of friction. Coefficient of friction is important because that's the determination for how anti-skid it is. The other disadvantage of this shoe cover is around wet floors, polypropylene is a wicking agent. So if you have a puddle and you stand in the puddle with this, the puddle gets wicked to the shoe cover. You don't have the puddle on the floor anymore, but you have a shoe cover that's all wet. Polyethylene is not a wicking agent. This will not absorb anything. So on a wet floor, it doesn't break down, and it still has a relatively high coefficient of friction. Still, in spite of the fact that the 3 mil, the 5 mil, and the 8 mil are a superior substrate at a lower cost, there are many people that still use polypropylene. Why is that? Because Valuetech hasn't yet done a video on why you shouldn't be using polypropylene shoe covers in your clean room. Because people are the legacy mindset, and Marla just took over for Joe, who retired 6 months ago, and they've always been using this, right? And there's comfort in legacy. There's comfort in the history. We offer a special line of shoe covers for high wet floors, and those shoe covers are on the last page of our shoe cover section. If I can point to page 34, on page 34 we have shoe covers that have PVC soles. These shoe covers are limited use shoe covers. We have some semiconductor fabs. Travis, we actually have the Delphi fab in Kokomo, Indiana. They wear this shoe cover for a whole week, and they swear by it because this shoe cover has a high coefficient of friction on wet floors, and some clean room laundries love to do loss ruin charges with garments. Meaning it's easy, you put a lot of wear on a reusable shoe cover, and you put that wear and they charge it out and they force you to buy a new one. So there's some accounts that use launderable bunny suits and or launderable smocks, and they are a target to buy our limited use shoe covers because this cost associated with replacing a launderable one. Stop.